So I went into this movie with as little information as possible, which turned out to be a challenge as every new trailer and promo seemed to spoil more and more of the story. And since this movie is hot off the press, I won't get into spoilers until the very end. So if you didn't know, you're safe here. Right off the bat, there's one reason I really went to see this movie, and it's just the story.
Blah, blah, blah. Proper name, place name, backstory stuff.
I'm your daddy.
To put it lightly, this is a totally different Marvel movie. It doesn't feel like anything we've had before. It doesn't even really feel connected to the MCU, which at this point is kind of a blessing. Unlike previous installments, it focused more on family and personal stories that were intimate and had more stakes than your typical evil Marvel villain. To start off the movie, we learn this takes place in Earth 828, an alternate reality, which is basically a retro 60s futuristic version of the world we have today, but a lot better and a lot nicer.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a box of scraps with a cave!
The story begins 4 years after they get their powers, and we get a montage of their first trip up to space and becoming popular by fighting a bunch of villains like Red Ghost, and what I can only assume is the best reference / throwback to The Incredibles, the Underminer.
Behold the Underminer! I am always beneath you, but nothing is beneath me!
This Earth is honestly so much more put together as they worship the Fantastic Four and have basically solved world peace with these 4 heroes. The story actually centers around the family itself and the birth of Franklin Richards, which is the most powerful hero in the Marvel Universe. A large part of this movie is based on the mystery around Franklin and Galactus and how they connect. But when the movie is centered around Franklin, it makes Reed and Sue the leads with the most growth and screen time, but that leaves Johnny, and especially Ben, to be what they are, supporting uncles from the sidelines. There is a subplot with Johnny who longs for space and adventure rather than any girl within his perimeter, which leads to his obsession with the Silver Surfer and some growth emotionally, but those moments are given way more time than the Thing, who has maybe 2 scenes where we get minimal interaction with the situation and the outside world.
It's clobbering time! That's just in the cartoon.
With the movie only about 2 hours long, it is hard to have a full-fledged story for each of the 4 characters, and 5 when you include Franklin. But for the most part, this was made up by the family dynamic and interactions they had with each other, which made the movie so much better. It's one of the only Marvel movies I can think of where the best parts aren't just the action and the fighting, but the interactions and dynamic between Reed, Johnny, Ben, and Sue really makes it the centerpiece of the story, and it really shines. Now at this point, I'm going to get into some spoilers, so if you don't want those, click off, go watch my other videos, and make sure to subscribe right now for my future videos. But if you're ready for a story breakdown, lock in. To start off, the alternate universe was such a good idea, being able to have creative freedom and build a world around your characters rather than have the past or the future MCU movies take a toll on a story being told here. It also let the filmmakers and production design really separate itself from the rest of the grayscale MCU that we've gotten since Infinity War, and you can really feel the thought and care put into all the costumes and the sets. But having it be an alternate universe does allow them to do a little more that is kind of jarring, where they can just go the speed of light and go to space whenever and it's like no big deal, or they can teleport things no problem, which if you didn't know, big spoiler here, one of the solutions to get away from Galactus is to teleport the entire Earth, which they just don't have any problem with and they figure out like immediately. But as for the villain, Galactus was perfect. His design was sick, and whenever he was on the screen, it was genuinely threatening. Now, there are some parts that took me out of it, like the CGI on the baby. It's amazing to me they can make Galactus, a giant cosmic being, look realistic and honestly believable, but they can't figure out the uncanny valley of a CGI baby. Overall, is it the best movie in the MCU? Probably not. It's more in its own league and reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy more than anything else. But finally, as for the post-credits, the first one takes place, spoilers here, again, 4 years later, where we see young Franklin Richards meet Doom. Our first official introduction to Doom. Now, you don't see his face, so I don't know if it's RDJ or if this is like another version of him. I'm assuming it's the same one, but I did really enjoy it for the most part. But let me know your thoughts down below on the movie. If you saw it, if you're gonna go see it, make sure to subscribe right now. Go watch my other videos if you have some time. And as always, thanks for watching.